Into this explainer and unpack the core concepts of virtual reality, using Marques Brownlee's foundational breakdown as our guide. If you want to truly understand a piece of technology, you've got to look back at the exact moment it first broke into the mainstream consciousness. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're taking a structured look at a classic tech analysis, a breakdown that perfectly captured that wild transition of VR from pure science fiction into an actual consumer reality. By unpacking this explainer and the wider ecosystem around it, we're going to build a really comprehensive picture of what VR is, how it's categorized, and where it actually sits in our cultural landscape. So let's start with this massive number. Over 1.8 million views and 34,000 likes. This brilliantly illustrates the immense public curiosity when this specific explainer dropped back in March of 2015. Think about it. Over 1.8 million people clicked on a piece simply titled Virtual Reality Explained, because there was just this massive hunger for clarity. People were hearing all these futuristic buzzwords, but they desperately needed someone to cut through the noise. This number is a phenomenal indicator of the public's appetite for straightforward tech education. It wasn't just a fleeting trend. This was the exact moment everyday consumers decided they needed to understand what this tech actually meant for them.
With all those eyes locked onto the topic, the absolute most critical step is answering one basic question. We have to start here. The primary objective is to define the technology immediately. Before we get bogged down in specs or refresh rates or brand names, we've got to establish this baseline. It sets the stage for everything that follows and ensures that all of us, regardless of our technical background, are starting from the exact same point of understanding.
Chapter 1, Defining the Experience. Okay, so the crucial point is establishing what VR actually is before you even look at the hardware that makes it possible. Virtual reality is fundamentally about creating a completely immersive digital experience that totally replaces your real-world surroundings. Unlike looking at a flat screen on your desk or swiping on your phone, VR actually aims to trick your brain. It wants you to believe you are physically present in a completely different, digitally generated environment. It's an incredibly ambitious technological goal, and honestly, understanding this core ambition is absolutely vital to appreciating the hardware solutions that tech companies have engineered to achieve it. Moving on to Chapter 2, The Great Headset Divide. To really understand your options, it absolutely helps to split the market into two distinct categories: phone VR and dedicated headset VR. This framework is just brilliant because it demystifies what is actually a highly complex market. Instead of throwing a dozen different brand names at you, organizing the information into these two distinct technological philosophies makes it infinitely easier to grasp. It creates a super clear mental framework. Basically, you either use the computer you already own, your phone, or you buy a brand new, dedicated computer to strap onto your face. Let's dig into Chapter 3, Phone, VR, and Accessibility. So, Phone VR, which was championed most famously by Google Cardboard, essentially turned the smartphone that's already in your pocket into a virtual gateway. This was all about high accessibility. You didn't need a massive, expensive gaming rig. You literally just folded some cardboard, slipped your phone inside, and the phone's high-resolution display and internal gyroscopes did all the heavy lifting for you. In fact, deep dives into how Google Cardboard actually works racked up millions of views online, which just proves how captivating this low-barrier, accessible entry point was for the general public. It completely democratized the immersive experience. Now for the flip side. Chapter 4, Dedicated Headset VR. Contrast that simple piece of cardboard with something like the Oculus Rift. This is the premium VR experience. It relies on dedicated, standalone hardware designed from the ground up for one single purpose: virtual reality. Because it isn't constrained by needing to also act as your cell phone, a dedicated headset can feature specialized optics, crazy high refresh rates, and vastly superior tracking sensors. This naturally results in significantly higher performance and a much deeper, more convincing level of immersion. Honestly, it's the difference between dipping your toes in a kiddie pool and diving straight into the deep end. Let's zoom out a bit for contextualizing the tech ecosystem. VR's 1.8 million views is huge for sure, but when we look at the surrounding landscape, a really fascinating picture emerges. Compare that 1.8 million to explainers on augmented reality glasses, which pulled in a staggering 6.8 million views. It kind of suggests that while fully enclosed virtual reality is super popular, augmenting the real world might hold an even broader public fascination. But then, and this is wild, compare both of those to purely entertainment-focused content, like a magic trick compilation. That sits at an eye-watering 23 million views. This context is vital. It shows us that while educational tech explainers draw massive, dedicated audiences looking for structured learning, they still exist within a broader ecosystem where pure entertainment commands the absolute lion's share of human attention. Next up, the virtual reality timeline. We can trace a literal timeline of this tech, and it's pretty mind-blowing. 11 years ago, outlets were already chronicling the history of virtual reality. Then we have our core 2015 explainer, sitting right at that magical inflection point of consumer accessibility with Cardboard and Oculus. And incredibly, forecasts already point us toward the future, anticipating the 21 coolest tech breakthroughs at CES 2026 and the best VR headsets years down the line. This timeline proves that VR is definitely not a static subject. It's a rapidly accelerating continuum. The foundational hardware concepts laid out way back in 2015, those are the exact same building blocks for the futuristic headsets we are anticipating years into the future. So, considering everything we've unpacked today and echoing popular analyses titled "Virtual Reality is Not What You Think," I want to leave you questioning your own assumptions. We've seen how VR was defined, how it's split between accessible phones and powerful dedicated headsets, and how it fits into a much broader timeline of rapid technological advancement. But as the tech matures way past the original Oculus Rift and Google Cardboard, and as we look towards CES 2026 and beyond, we really have to ask, is the ultimate destination of this technology going to mirror the immersive, escapist environments we originally envisioned, or is it morphing into something else entirely? As the lines between digital and physical continue to blur, where is this digital reality actually taking us?